The bank opened like a promise. Glass walls gleamed. Marble floors shone so brightly, you could see your own face in them. Like the building was demanding, everyone remember who mattered. Outside, cameras flashed. Inside, staff moved like they were part of a celebration that didn't include the ordinary people who would one day queue for loans, plead for overdrafts, or beg for their pension. Up on the highest floor, behind a silent boardroom door, the owner watched everything through a live CCTV screen. His name was Ayo Kingsley Duru, founder and majority owner of the bank. He had built the institution from a dream in ruthless discipline. Money came, respect came, even admiration came. But real love, real humanity? That one never showed up without a price tag. He had met too many smiles that were actually calculations, too many sir that meant ATM, too many people who acted holy until the account balance entered the room. So he made a decision no one in his world would understand. He opened a small locker. Inside was not a designer suit, not a gold watch, not a perfume bottle. It was a cleaner's uniform. Ayo held it in his hands and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Fear. Not fear of failure, not fear of loss, fear of seeing the truth. His friend and lawyer, Barrister Sei Alao, leaned on the table, watching him like someone watching a man about to step into fire. "You're really doing this," Sei said quietly. Ayo's voice was calm, but his eyes were tired. "I need to know what kind of people work under my name." Sei sighed. "Or you want to know if there's still anyone who can love you without your money?" Ayo didn't answer. That silence was the answer. He changed into the uniform. A faded cap shadowed his face. He picked up a mop bucket, a small rag, and an old phone. He looked invisible. And that was the point. On the ground floor, the first humiliation came quickly. At the teller line, a woman with a sharp smile and expensive hair glanced at him like he was a stain on the floor. Her name tag read, Tomiwa Akinwale. Head teller. "Cleaner," she snapped, not even greeting. "Don't drag water here. This is the front hall." Ayo lowered his head slightly. "Yes, Ma." Tomiwa rolled her eyes. "If you people spoil this floor, I'll make sure you're replaced." Two other tellers laughed softly, laughing the way people laugh when they think power makes cruelty cute. Ayo said nothing. He pushed the mop slowly, listening, watching. He noticed how the security men greeted Tomiwa with respect, but ignored the cleaners like shadows. He noticed how some staff spoke to customers with rehearsed sweetness, then turned away and insulted them under their breath. Most of all, he noticed a rule nobody wrote down, but everyone obeyed. The higher your salary, the more human you were allowed to be. From the corner of the lobby, an older cleaner, Mama Nkechi, strong-faced and sharp-eyed, stopped beside him. "You're new," she murmured. "Yes," Ayo replied. Mama Nkechi looked him up and down, like she could read secrets through fabric. "This place, it swallows soft people. If you want to survive, learn when to talk and when to keep your mouth shut." Ayo nodded slowly. "Thank you, Mama." She walked away, but her words stayed. Ayo stared at the shining floor. In the reflection, he saw not a billionaire, not a boss. He saw a man testing the world, and for the first time, he wondered if he was testing them, or if life was about to test him back. The next morning, the bank smelled like fresh air conditioning and ambition. Ayo, still wearing the faded cleaner's uniform, still answering to Kunle, arrived before most staff. He moved quietly, mopping corners people never looked at, polishing glass people pressed their hands on without thinking. He wasn't just cleaning floors. He was cleaning lies off the surface of his own business. From the teller counter, Tomiwa's voice cut through the lobby like a whip. "Who left these chairs like this?" she snapped. "Is it not cleaners that are paid to use their eyes?" Ayo kept his head down. He had already learned something important. Cruel people don't need a reason. They just need an audience. Later, as he emptied a bin near HR, he heard hurried footsteps. A young woman rushed into the lobby, clutching a brown file close to her chest. Her clothes were neat but cheap, like someone who cared about appearing professional, even when life was fighting her. She paused at the entrance, breathing hard, eyes scanning the room like she was late for something that could change her whole life. Ayo noticed her first because she didn't carry pride. She carried worry. The woman approached the reception desk. "Good morning. Please, I'm here for the accountant onboarding. My name is Zainab Oho." The receptionist glanced at the wall clock, then at Zainab, like time itself had accused her. "You're late." Zainab swallowed. "I know. There was an emergency." "Madam, onboarding was 8 o'clock. It's past 9:30. Zainab's fingers tightened around her file. "Please, I can explain. My daughter—" Before she could finish, Tomiwa appeared, as if she could smell weakness the way sharks smell blood. She looked Zainab up and down and laughed softly. "Ah, so this is the graduate accountant they were expecting." Zainab's face warmed. "Good morning." Tomiwa leaned on the counter. "You people like to form big things. Accountant, auditor, manager. Meanwhile, you can't even keep time." Zainab tried to keep her voice steady. "I had an unexpected situation." Tomiwa smirked. "Life is full of unexpected situations. That's why some people remain poor." The other tellers giggled again. Ayo felt his jaw tighten, but he kept mopping. If he reacted, the mask would crack. HR eventually came down. An annoyed woman who looked like she had no patience for human stories. "We can't continue the accountant role," HR said. "The slot has been reassigned." Zainab's eyes widened. "Reassigned? But I got the email. I was confirmed." HR shrugged. "Policies, time, professionalism." Zainab's lips trembled, but she held it in. "So what do I do now?" HR hesitated, then spoke like she was offering charity. "There's an opening in cleaning, temporary. If you want it, take it. If not, you can go." The lobby went silent for a second. Even Tomiwa paused, enjoying the moment the way some people enjoy a movie scene. Zainab stood there with her file in her hands, like it weighed 1,000 kilograms. For a second, Ayo expected her to cry. Instead, she lifted her chin. "If that's the available job," Zainab said quietly, "I'll take it." Tomiwa burst into laughter. "Imagine, accountant turned cleaner." Zainab didn't look at her. She didn't beg. She didn't insult. She simply nodded at HR and asked, "When do I start?" Ayo watched her, stunned. Because he had seen many people pretend to be strong. But this was a different kind of strength. It was the strength of someone who had already been broken before and decided that life would not break her again. As Zainab followed HR toward the back office, she passed Ayo. Their eyes met briefly. Ayo lowered his gaze, playing the role. But Zainab gave him a small nod, respectful, equal, human. Not pity, not arrogance, just recognition. Ayo's chest tightened strangely. He had entered his own bank to test people. But in that moment, watching a woman accept a mop to protect her future, he realized the test had truly begun. By midday, Zainab wore the same faded uniform Ayo had on. It didn't fit her perfectly, too loose in the shoulders, too long at the sleeves, like the job itself wasn't designed for someone with dreams. Her file was gone. In its place was a small rag tucked into her pocket and a plastic ID card that simply read, "Cleaning Unit." Ayo watched from a distance as Mama Nkechi walked Zainab through the basement storeroom, where bleach, mops, and silence lived. "This is where they will expect you to disappear," Mama Nkechi said, her voice low. "But hear me, you can be small in uniform and still be big in spirit." Zainab nodded. "I just need to work. That's all." Mama Nkechi studied her face like she was looking for cracks. "No, you need to survive people. Work is easy. People are the hard part." Upstairs, the hard part arrived fast. Zainab was assigned to clean the teller section. Polish counters, wipe chairs, empty bins. It should have been simple, but Tomiwa made sure it was not. As Zainab wiped the glass near Tomiwa's station, Tomiwa tapped her nails on the counter. "Hey," she said loudly, so the other tellers could hear. "Since you're now a cleaner, does it mean you forgot accounting?" Lillian snorted. Bimpy covered her mouth, laughing. Zainab kept wiping. "I'm just doing my job, Ma." Tomiwa leaned closer. "Don't call me Ma like we're equals. You people like to pretend." Zainab paused briefly, then continued. "Okay." The calmness irritated Tomiwa more than anger would have. "Since you're so humble," Tomiwa continued, "make sure the floor is shining. The owner's people might visit any time. We don't want them thinking we employ lazy street girls." The words, "street girls," landed like a slap. Zainab's fingers tightened around the rag. Her eyes flickered. Pain, then restraint. Ayo's mop froze midair. He had heard insults since he came undercover, but seeing them aimed at Zainab stirred something hot and dangerous inside him. Still, he remained silent. He had promised himself, observe first. A customer entered, an elderly woman carrying a bag of documents. She approached the counter timidly. "Please," the woman said, "I'm trying to confirm my account." Tomiwa smiled, bright and fake. "Of course, Ma. We're here for you." The moment the woman turned away, Tomiwa's smile died. She leaned toward Lillian and whispered, loud enough for Zainab to hear. "See these people? Every day they come with problems like we're their village cooperative." Lillian laughed. Zainab looked at the elderly woman's back. Small, fragile, hopeful, and something in her expression changed. Not anger, not bitterness, just understanding. Ayo noticed. That evening, when the lobby quieted and most staff had left, Zainab remained behind, wiping stubborn stains near the front entrance. Ayo pushed his bucket closer, pretending to focus on the floor. You did well today," he said softly, careful to keep his voice small. Zainab glanced at him, surprised. Then she smiled faintly, tired but warm. "Thank you," she said. "Some days, you just have to swallow shame and keep moving." Ayo hesitated. "How do you do it?" Zainab stared at the glass doors of the bank, where the world outside looked distant and harsh. "My child," she said simply, "when you have someone depending on you, pride becomes a luxury." Ayo felt those words hit him like a lesson. Because for all his wealth, he had lived like pride was his shield. Zainab lived like responsibility was her oxygen. As they walked back toward the basement, Mama Nkechi appeared, arms folded. She watched them both. Then she looked at Ayo, hard. "You," she said to him sharply, "if you're the type that will join them to laugh at her, don't talk to her at all." Ayo bowed his head. I won't. Mama Nkechi nodded once. Good. Because this bank has plenty eyes. And some eyes are wicked. Ayo understood exactly what she meant. In a place where people worshipped status, kindness was not just rare, it was dangerous. The next day started like the others. Polished floors, cold air conditioning, loud heels, and quiet humiliation. But for Zainab, the morning came with a weight she couldn't mop away. Her phone buzzed at exactly 10:17 a.m. She didn't pick immediately. Tomiwa had trained them with fear, and fear had taught Zainab to be careful. But when the phone buzzed again, then again, her stomach tightened. She stepped into a corner near the restroom and answered in a whisper. Hello? A child's voice came through, thin and scared. Mummy, I can't breathe well. Zainab's heart dropped. Farida, where are you? Auntie Sade brought me home from school. I'm coughing. The line filled with weak wheezing, small, helpless breaths fighting for air. Zainab shut her eyes. For a second, the bank disappeared. The marble floors vanished. The insults faded. All that remained was her child's breath, fragile like a candle in wind. I'm coming, she said quickly. Sit up. Don't lie flat. I'm coming now. She ended the call and looked around, panic rising like floodwater. She needed permission to leave. She needed transport money. She needed hospital deposit money. She needed time. Time was something the poor never had enough of. Zainab rushed toward the teller section, where Tomiwa stood, lips painted, posture perfect, acting like she owned the air around her. Please, Zainab said, voice trembling despite her effort. My daughter is sick. I need to go, just for a short time. Tomiwa's eyes widened theatrically. Excuse me? My child. She can't breathe well. Tomiwa clicked her tongue. And? Are we the hospital? Zainab swallowed hard. Please. I'll come back. I just need permission. Tomiwa looked at Lillian and Bimpi, enjoying the audience. So now cleaners will start using children as excuse to abandon work. Zainab's voice broke slightly. It's not an excuse. She has asthma. Tomiwa raised a hand. I don't care. If you walk out without clearance, you'll lose this job. Simple. Zainab froze. Her body wanted to run. Her motherhood screamed, Go! But her survival whispered, If you lose this job, what happens tomorrow? Ayo, standing nearby with his bucket, watched the war in her eyes. He wanted to step in. He wanted to shout. He wanted to reveal himself right there. But he remembered the mission. Observe. Gather truth. Strike with evidence. Still, he couldn't watch a child die because of policy and pride. Zainab turned to the other tellers, desperation showing now. Please, any of you, help me. Even if it's a small loan, I'll repay. Lillian laughed like it was entertainment. Loan? Cleaner? Bimpi shook her head. Madam, manage your family matter. This is work. Zainab's eyes filled, but she blinked the tears back fast. She had cried before. Tears didn't pay hospital bills. Then, from behind, a steady voice cut through the cruelty. What is happening here? It was Mr. Femi Onabanjo, the operations manager. Tomiwa's posture changed instantly. Smile. Respect. Sir, nothing serious. Zainab stepped forward quickly. Sir, please. My daughter is having an asthma attack. I need to take her to the hospital, and, if possible, I need an emergency salary advance. Please. Mr. Femi's eyes sharpened, not at Zainab, but at the tellers. How long has she been asking? He asked quietly. Tomiwa chuckled nervously. Sir, we were just explaining policy. Mr. Femi raised a finger. Policy protects the bank. but policy without humanity destroys the bank. Silence. He turned to Zainab. Go. Now. I'll sign temporary clearance. Zainab's knees almost buckled with relief. Thank you, sir. Mr. Fahmy walked toward his office. Meet me in 5 minutes. We'll process an emergency advance. I'll take responsibility. Tomiwa's face tightened. Sir, advance approvals require... I said I'll take responsibility, Mr. Fahmy repeated, voice firm. Zainab ran to the basement to drop her mop and bucket. Mama Nkichi met her on the stairs. What happened? Mama Nkichi asked, eyes already worried. Zainab's voice shook. My daughter. She can't breathe. Mama Nkichi grabbed her hand. Go. Don't waste time. Ayo watched Zainab dash out of the building like her life depended on it. Because in a way, it did. When the lobby calmed again, Tomiwa leaned to her friends, whispering venom. Mr. Fahmy will regret this, she hissed. When the owner returns, we'll report him. He thinks he can bend rules for a cleaner. Ayo's mop moved slowly again. But inside, his mind was no longer calm. Because now, the test wasn't just about love. It was about life. And he had just seen something terrifying. In his own bank, cruelty had become normal. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. Zainab pushed through the entrance with Farida in her arms, her little body light, too light, wheezing like every breath was a fight. A nurse rushed them into a small emergency room, placed a mask on Farida's face, and began treatment. Zainab stood beside the bed, hands shaking, whispering prayers she didn't even know she remembered. Breathe, my baby. Please breathe. After what felt like hours, but was barely minutes, the wheezing eased slightly. Farida's eyelids fluttered, and her chest rose more steadily. Zainab's knees weakened. Relief washed over her, then instantly turned into dread when she saw the hospital clerk approaching with a form. Madam, the clerk said, voice practiced and cold. We need deposit for admission and medication. Zainab nodded quickly. Yes. How much? The clerk pointed. The amount stared back at her like an insult. Zainab's mouth went dry. She had left the bank with only transport money and hope. Mr. Fahmy had promised an emergency advance. But promises moved slowly. Hospitals moved fast. I will pay, Zainab said, forcing the words out. Please let the continue treatment. My office is processing payment. The clerk's expression didn't change. Madam, we hear that every day. If there is no deposit, we can only stabilize her. Admission requires payment. Zainab stared at her child's small face under the oxygen mask, and the world tilted. She wanted to scream, Do you want me to watch my child suffer? But she knew the clerk had heard worse stories than hers. The clerk had probably built a wall around her heart just to survive this job. Zainab stepped outside and called Mr. Fahmy with trembling fingers. He answered immediately. Zainab, where are you? Sir, they need deposit now, she said, voice cracking. Please, did it go through? There was a pause, paper shuffling, urgency in his voice. I signed it. Accounts is processing. It may take some minutes, but... Minutes can be too long, Zainab whispered. I understand, Mr. Fahmy said firmly. Listen, I'm pushing it. Stay with your child. Zainab ended the call and leaned against the wall, breathing hard. For the first time since she wore the cleaner's uniform, tears came. Not loud, not dramatic, just silent tears that slid down her face like surrender. She wiped them quickly. Then she did something she had sworn she would never do again. She opened her phone and scrolled to the last number she avoided, the one that always came with judgment. Her father. He picked up on the second ring. Zainab, is everything okay? Her voice shook. Daddy, Farida is in the hospital. Silence. Then his voice went tight. What happened? Asthma attack. They need deposit. Her father exhaled slowly, like a man carrying too many burdens. How much? Zainab said the amount. He didn't gasp. He didn't shout, but she heard the pain in his breathing. My daughter, he said softly. You know I don't have that kind of money. I know, Zainab whispered, shame burning her throat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disturb you. I just didn't know who else. Don't apologize, her father cut in. A child is not disturbance. Listen to me. I will try. I will borrow. I will sell something, if I must. Zainab's chest tightened. Daddy, no. I said I will try, he repeated. Just stay with Farida. Zainab ended the call and slid down the wall, hugging her knees. Education had not saved her here. Dignity had not saved her here. Only money could open this door. Back at the bank, mister. Femi stormed into accounts. Process that advance now. Tomiwa watched from the teller section with a smile that wasn't happy. Lillian whispered, Sir is really risking himself for her. Tomiwa's smile sharpened. Let him. When the owner returns, we'll show him what policy means. And down in the cleaner's storeroom, Ayo stood still, holding his mop like a weapon he wasn't allowed to use yet. Mama Nkichi entered, wiping sweat from her face. Your friend, that's Zainab. She ran like her life was on fire. Ayo's voice was low. Her child is sick. Mama Nkichi's eyes softened, then hardened again. This world is wicked, especially to women who don't have a man to defend them. Ayo swallowed. Because for the first time, the disguise stopped feeling like a test. It started feeling like a punishment. He wasn't just watching injustice. He was watching how quickly life could crush a good person, and how easily the cruel ones could laugh while it happened. And somewhere between the hospital walls and the bank's shiny floors, a single receipt waited to decide whether Farida would stay alive. The clerk returned with the same face, professional, indifferent, tired. Madam, she said, holding the form, we need confirmation of payment. If not, we can't admit the child. Zainab's palms were cold. She pressed them together like prayer. Please, just give us a little time. The clerk looked past her into the emergency room, where Farida lay under the oxygen mask. For a second, something human flashed in the clerk's eyes. Then, the wall returned. I will check again in 10 minutes, she said, walking away. 10 minutes. Zainab stared at the clock on the wall. It ticked like a threat. She opened her phone again and dialed Mr. Femi. No answer. Her heart hammered. She dialed again. Still nothing. In the emergency room, Farida coughed, weakly this time, but the sound cut through Zainab's chest like a blade. Baby, I'm here, Zainab whispered, stroking her daughter's hair. Don't be scared. Farida's eyes fluttered open slightly. Mummy, will I die? Zainab's breath caught. She forced a smile so big it hurt. No, you will not die. You will grow. You will become whatever you want. Farida blinked slowly. Promise? Zainab swallowed the lump in her throat. I promise. The words tasted like fire because she didn't know if she could keep them. Then Zainab's phone rang. Mr. Femi. She grabbed it immediately. Sir. Zainab, Mr. Femi said, voice tight. The advance is approved. I forced accounts to process it. I have sent confirmation to the hospital's payment line. It should reflect now. Zainab's knees almost gave way. Thank you. Thank you so much. Stay with your child, he said. And Zainab, don't worry about the noise here. I'll handle it. Zainab didn't fully understand what he meant until a minute later when a notification entered her phone. Salary advance credited. She stared at the alert like it was a miracle. She ran to the cashier desk, almost tripping over her own feet. Please check again. Payment has been made. The clerk typed, paused, then looked up. It has reflected. Zainab covered her mouth. A broken sound escaped her throat. Half laughter, half cry. Okay, the clerk said, handing her a receipt. We'll admit her. Take this. Go to Ward B for admission. Zainab clutched the receipt like it was life itself. Back inside the emergency room, the nurse adjusted Farida's mask. She'll be fine, the nurse said, but you must always keep her inhaler close and avoid dust. Zainab nodded, swallowing tears. Dust. Her whole life had been dust. Dust she cleaned, dust she swallowed, dust people threw in her eyes. But this time, her child would live. That night, the hospital room was dim and quiet. Farida slept peacefully for the first time in days. Zainab sat by the bed and stared at the receipt again. It wasn't just a piece of paper. It was proof that a human being had chosen compassion over policy. And she knew something else too. If Mr. Femi had not helped her, her child would have been turned away. Outside the hospital, Zainab called her father. Daddy, she whispered. The payment is settled. Her father's voice broke with relief. Thank God. Thank God. I'm sorry I scared you, Zainab said. Don't apologize. Just stay strong, my daughter. Zainab ended the call and looked at her sleeping child. Then she made a vow. I will never beg like this again. Back at the bank, the vow was already causing fire. Tomiwa stormed toward Mr. Femi's office with Lillian and Bimpy behind her, their eyes bright with trouble. Sir, Tomiwa said sweetly, we heard you authorized an advance for a cleaner. Mr. Femi didn't look up from his computer. Yes. Tomiwa tilted her head. That's against policy. Mr. Femi finally looked up. His eyes were calm, but sharp. Policy doesn't stop me from saving a child's life. Bimpy scoffed. But sir, if everyone starts... Everyone doesn't have a child struggling to breathe, Mr. Femi cut in. Tomiwa's smile vanished. When the owner returns, we will report you. Mr. Femi leaned back slightly. Do what you must. They left his office, angry. In the lobby, Ayo stood near the potted plant, mopping slowly, listening to every word. Mama and Keiichi walked past him and muttered, They have started their witchcraft. Ayo's grip tightened on the mop handle. Because now, it wasn't just about kindness. It was about power. And he had just seen the kind of courage he wanted in a partner, someone who would risk their job to do what was right. But he had also seen something else. In his bank, evil people were confident, which meant the next test would not be quiet. It would be war. 2 days later, Farida was discharged. Zainab returned to the bank thinner, eyes a little hollow from sleepless nights, but standing straighter than before. She had come back with something new inside her, not just gratitude, but clarity. She now understood a painful lesson life kept teaching her. Kindness is rare, and when it appears, you must honor it. That morning, she arrived early, before the tellers came in with their perfume and pride. She walked into the cleaner's storeroom, holding 2 small foil packs wrapped carefully in nylon. Mama and Keiichi looked up from sorting detergents. What is that? Zainab smiled, shy and sincere. Food. I cooked small something. Mama and Keiichi raised her eyebrows. For who? You want to feed the bank? Zainab laughed softly. For you, And Mr. Femi. Mama Nkechi's face softened in a way Zainab hadn't seen before. Gratitude. Many people don't know that word. Zainab placed one pack on the table, then hesitated. And, for Kunle too. Mama Nkechi paused. That one? She stared at Zainab. Why? Zainab lowered her voice. He didn't do anything big. But he didn't laugh. He didn't mock me. Sometimes, not joining wickedness is a kind of help. Mama Nkechi nodded slowly, like a judge, agreeing with evidence. True. Ayo entered the storeroom a few minutes later, carrying his mop bucket. When he saw Zainab, he paused. Welcome back, he said quietly. Zainab smiled. Thank you. She held out the foil pack. I brought food. Please take. Ayo blinked, surprised. In his life, as Ayo Kingsley Duru, people gave him gifts to impress him. Expensive things, loud things. This was different. This was food cooked with sacrifice. I can't, he started. Zainab interrupted gently. Please. I want to say thank you. You were human. The words hit him harder than she knew. Ayo accepted it with both hands, like it was something sacred. Thank you. Mama Nkechi watched him with sharp eyes. Take. Don't form. Ayo nodded and murmured, Thank you, Mama. Upstairs, the day began like a performance. Tomiwa walked in with her crew, clicking her heels, laughing loudly, spraying confidence into the air like perfume. She spotted Zainab instantly. So the cleaner has returned. Zainab kept her face calm. Good morning. Tomiwa scoffed. Your manager saved you, Abby. Don't think you're special. Zainab didn't answer. She moved past them to begin her work. But Tomiwa wasn't satisfied. Cruelty, for her, was not a moment. It was a habit. Later in the break room, Mr. Femi entered and found the food on his desk. He opened it, paused, and looked around. Mama Nkechi stood by the door. It's Zainab. She said thank you. Mr. Femi's expression changed. Surprise, then quiet respect. Tell her I appreciate it, he said. And tell her she doesn't owe me anything. Mama Nkechi nodded. She will hear. Across the hall, Ayo sat alone in the cleaner's corner, opening the foil pack carefully. The smell rose, warm, comforting, real. He took one bite and froze. It wasn't just the taste. It was the feeling of being treated like a person, not a title. For the first time in a long time, Ayo felt his throat tighten, with emotion he didn't want to admit. Zainab came to empty the trash near him and noticed his expression. You like it? She asked softly. Ayo cleared his throat. Yes, it's very good. Zainab smiled, then her smile faded slightly as she stared at the marble floors. You know, she said, voice low, sometimes people think a uniform is the person. They don't know the person inside it. Ayo looked at her. And it hurts? Zainab nodded. At first. Then you learn. Not everyone will understand you. So you choose to keep your heart clean, even if your hands are dirty from work. Ayo swallowed. A cleaner telling the owner how to live. The irony almost made him laugh. But it also made him respect her even more. That afternoon, Tomiwa gathered Lillian and Bimpy near the teller section, whispering like snakes in the grass. He thinks he's stubborn, Tomiwa hissed. That Mr. Femi. Lillian leaned closer. So what do we do? Tomiwa's eyes glittered. We wait. The owner will return soon. We'll report him for bending policy. And that cleaner, Zainab, she will learn her place. Bimpy smirked. And Kunle? That one that always stays quiet? Tomiwa rolled her eyes. He's nothing. A mop with legs. Ayo, mopping nearby, heard every word. He kept his face blank. But inside, something settled. A decision. Because he had seen gratitude. He had seen integrity. And now he had heard a threat. This was no longer a simple test of character. This was a fight for the soul of his bank. And Ayo Kingsley Duru was done watching evil feel comfortable. That night, Ayo sat alone in a quiet apartment, still dressed like Kunle, still carrying the smell of bleach and marble polish on his hands. He didn't change immediately. He wanted to remember what it felt like to be ignored, to be spoken to like air, to be judged by shoes, not character. His phone buzzed. Sei. Ayo answered. Yes. Sei's voice came sharp. Don't tell me you've started feeling sorry for yourself. Ayo gave a humorless chuckle. Not for myself. For who then? Ayo paused. He saw Zainab's face in his mind, tired but dignified. He heard her voice. You choose to keep your heart clean. For her, Ayo admitted. Sei exhaled. Ayo, focus. If you fall for her before we finish, you'll make mistakes. I know, Ayo said quietly. That's why I'm calling. Sei's tone changed, becoming more businesslike. You said earlier there's a pattern. Staff arrogance, policy abuse, and now pension complaints starting to rise. Yes, Ayo replied. And the way Tomiwa dismisses customers, it's too confident. Like she knows nobody can touch her. Sei was silent for a beat. So, we set a trap. Ayo's eyes narrowed. How? Tomorrow, Sei said, we plant a controlled transaction. A fake pension deposit. Small enough to look normal. Large enough to tempt. We'll route it through the branch system with audit visibility. If anyone tries diversion, the system will log the access trail. Ayo's jaw tightened. And CCTV? Sei laughed softly. Already arranged. The camera angles that mysteriously miss the teller counters? We'll fix that overnight, quietly. Ayo breathed out. Good. And Ayo, Sei added, voice serious. We need a clean witness inside. Someone who notices details without being part of the corrupt circle. Ayo knew the name he was about to say before he said it. Zainab, he whispered. Sei groaned. Of course. Just be careful. Don't put her in danger. Ayo's voice dropped. They already put her in danger. I'm going to protect her. The next morning, the bank felt tense, as if something invisible had shifted. Zainab arrived early again, greeted Mama Nkechi, and began wiping the glass doors. She moved with calm concentration, but her eyes were sharper these days. Farida's near-death experience had changed her. When you almost lose a child, you stop wasting energy on nonsense. Ayo approached slowly with his mop bucket. Good morning. Zainab nodded. Good morning. Ayo hesitated, then spoke carefully. Yesterday, I heard them talking. Zainab's hands paused. Who? Tomiwa and her friends, Ayo said. They want to report Mr. Femi. And they talked about you. Zainab's face tightened slightly. They always talk. Ayo looked around to ensure no one was close. Be careful. In this place, some people don't just talk. They plan. Zainab studied him for a moment. Why are you telling me? Ayo swallowed. Because I care. Because you're different. Because I've never met someone like you. Instead, he said the safest truth. Because you're a good person. And good people suffer when wicked people are comfortable. Zainab's eyes softened. Thank you. Ayo leaned closer, voice lower. If you notice anything strange, anything about transactions, complaints, old people coming with pension issues, tell Mama Nkechi. She will tell me. Zainab frowned slightly. Why you? Are you a supervisor? Ayo quickly shook his head. No, but I listen, and I don't like injustice. Zainab stared at him, suspicion flickering. Then she sighed. In this world, she said quietly. People who hate injustice usually suffer the most. Ayo met her gaze. I'm ready. Around midday, the first controlled complaint arrived. An elderly man walked into the bank, holding a worn file and a small ATM card. His hands shook with age and frustration. I was told my pension entered, he said loudly, voice trembling. But when I checked, it's not there. Tomiwa's smile came out fast, sharp, fake, trained. Sir, calm down, she said sweetly. There are procedures. The man banged the counter gently. Procedure? My rent is due. My medicine is finished. I'm not shouting for fun. People began to stare. Phones came out. A small crowd formed. Ayo stood in the background, mopping slowly, watching. Zainab stood behind a pillar, wiping the glass, but her eyes were on the scene. Tomiwa clicked her tongue. Sir, if you can't behave, you can leave and come back when you're ready to be respectful. The old man's eyes widened. Respectful? I'm asking for my money. Lillian whispered something and laughed. The old man's voice cracked. Do you people think, because I'm old, I'm foolish? Tomiwa leaned forward, eyes cold. If you have a complaint, write it. Next. The old man stumbled backward like the words pushed him. And in that moment, Zainab stepped forward. Not with shouting, with calm. Sir, she said gently to the old man, please sit. Don't stress yourself. Let's check properly. Tomiwa snapped her head toward Zainab. Excuse me. Who asked you to talk? Zainab kept her voice steady. He's an elderly customer. He needs help. Tomiwa's face hardened. You're a cleaner. Go and clean. The crowd murmured. Some people frowned. Ayo's heart pounded, but he stayed still. Because the trap was set. And Tomiwa, without knowing, was already stepping into it. The old man's breathing was ragged. He looked like a person trying to stay strong, while his body begged him to sit down. Zainab pulled a chair gently and guided him to it. Sir, please rest. We will sort it out. Tomiwa's face tightened, as if kindness was an insult. Zainab, she barked. Are you now customer service? Go back to your work. Zainab didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. She simply looked at Tomiwa, steady, respectful, but unafraid. I am doing my work, Zainab said quietly. This bank exists because of customers. A murmur swept through the small crowd. One woman in line whispered, She's right. Another man shook his head. These bankers are too proud. Tomiwa glanced around, realizing eyes were on her now, and in front of an audience, she couldn't be openly wicked, so she switched to a smile that was all teeth and no warmth. Okay, she said loudly. Since you want to help, let's check. She turned to her computer, tapped the keyboard, and frowned theatrically. Sir, it says the money was credited and withdrawn. The old man's mouth fell open. Withdrawn? By who? I didn't withdraw anything. Tomiwa lifted her brows, as if the truth was obvious. Maybe you forgot your PIN. Maybe someone around you knows it. The old man's eyes watered with rage. So you are accusing me of being careless? My money doesn't have legs. Zainab leaned forward, calm but firm. Ma, please, can you check the account activity details? Timestamp, channel, whether it was ATM, transfer, or in-branch. Tomiwa's smile flickered. She didn't like that Zainab's words sounded educated. She didn't like that the crowd heard it too. Lillian whispered to Bimpy, Cleaner is speaking grammar. Bimpy chuckled. But the crowd wasn't laughing. Ayo stood near the potted plant, mop in hand, heart steady, eyes sharp. This was exactly what Sei had predicted. When pressure came, people would reveal what they were hiding. Tomiwa clicked again, slower this time. It says, internal transfer. The old man blinked. Internal? What does that mean? Zainab's face tightened. It means someone moved the money from inside the bank system. The words landed like thunder. A woman in the crowd gasped. Inside the bank? A young man pulled out his phone. So una de thief pension? Tomiwa's voice rose sharply. Excuse me, watch your mouth. The old man's voice broke. My medicine, my rent. You people are playing with my life. And like a door opening, other voices started. A middle-aged woman stepped forward, shaking her head. My own transfer last week disappeared too. Another man shouted from the back. My mother's pension entered and vanished. Suddenly, it wasn't one complaint. It was many. The bank's shiny lobby began to feel like a courtroom. Tomiwa's eyes darted left and right. Her confidence cracked for the first time. She tried to regain control by raising her voice. All of you calm down. If you don't calm down, security will remove you. That was the wrong sentence. Because poor people can endure hunger, endure insults, endure hardship. But the moment you threaten them for asking for what is theirs, something breaks. The crowd surged with anger. Remove who? Someone yelled. You want to remove old man because he asked for his money? A woman shouted. Phones were recording now. Ayo watched Tomiwa's fingers move. Fast, nervous, closing windows on her computer, switching screens like she was hiding something. Zainab noticed too. Her eyes narrowed. And then she saw it. Just a brief flash before Tomiwa switched again. A file name on the screen. Pension, _batch, _reversal. Zainab's stomach dropped. That wasn't normal teller work. That was something deeper. Something dangerous. Zainab took a slow step back, pretending to wipe the counter, but her mind was racing. Who gave her access to that? Who trained her? How long has this been going on? At that moment, Mr. Femi Onabanjo rushed out from the management corridor, face tight with urgency. What's going on here? He demanded. Tomiwa turned instantly into a victim. Sir, these customers are being disruptive. They're accusing us. Mr. Femi held up a hand. Stop. He turned to the elderly man, voice softer. Sir, I'm sorry. Please, come with me. We will investigate immediately. The old man's voice cracked. I don't want story. I want my money. Mr. Femi nodded. You'll get answers. I promise. Tomiwa's eyes flashed, anger and fear. She knew if Mr. Femi took over, control would shift. And control was the one thing she needed to keep the secrets safe. Ayo stepped slightly to the side, watching every movement. Because now, the trap was no longer just set. It had started to close. And Zainab, without even knowing, had just seen the first piece of evidence that could change her life forever. The lobby slowly emptied, but the tension stayed, like smoke after a fire. Mr. Femi led the elderly man into a small meeting room near customer service. He offered him water, spoke gently, and took his details with patience. The man's hands still trembled as he spoke. My pension is my life, he whispered. If it disappears, I disappear. Mr. Femi nodded, eyes heavy. You won't be ignored. Not here. Outside the room, Tomiwa paced like a caged cat, pretending to arrange files, while her eyes kept jumping to the corridor, watching who entered, who listened, who might have seen too much. Zainab returned to wiping the counters, but her mind wasn't on dust anymore. It was on what she had seen on Tomiwa's screen. Pension, _batch, _reversal. She didn't know the full meaning, but she knew one thing. It didn't belong in the hands of a teller who spent her days bullying cleaners. Zainab moved toward the cleaner's storeroom, carrying a trash bag like a disguise for her fear. Mama Nkechi was there, folding rags. "Mama," Zainab whispered, voice barely audible, "I saw something." Mama Nkechi's eyes sharpened. "Talk." Zainab leaned close. On Tomiwa's system, a file name flashed. Pension_batch_reversal. She quickly switched it. Mama Nkechi froze for a second. Then she hissed softly. "Ah, so that's the smell I've been smelling." Zainab blinked. "You suspected?" Mama Nkechi didn't answer directly. She just muttered, "This bank has too many proud people and too few honest ones." Then she looked at Zainab hard. "Did anybody notice you looking?" Zainab shook her head. "I don't think so." Mama Nkechi grabbed her wrist. "Listen to me. In places like this, wickedness has salary. If you carry information, carry it carefully." Zainab swallowed. "What do I do?" Mama Nkechi released her hand slowly. "We tell Kunla." Zainab hesitated. "Kunla? But he's just—" Mama Nkechi cut her off. "Just what? Cleaner? You think cleaners don't have eyes? You think truth only sits in management office?" Zainab fell silent. That evening, when most staff had left, Ayo appeared at the basement door. His face remained calm, but his eyes were alert. Mama Nkechi didn't waste time. "Kunla." The girl saw something on Tomiwa's system. Pension batch reversal. Ayo's expression didn't change, but inside, everything aligned like puzzle pieces clicking into place. He nodded once. "Good." Zainab stared. "Good? It's serious." Ayo's voice was low, controlled. "Yes, and serious things need serious proof." Zainab frowned. "So what happens now?" Ayo looked at her gently. So gently, it almost scared her. "Now, we do the right thing the right way." He leaned slightly forward. "There is something people must learn. Anger is loud, but evidence is stronger." Zainab's throat tightened. She had lived her whole life reacting to hardship, crying, begging, praying. But this moment was different. This moment required wisdom. Ayo continued, steady and educational, like a lesson. If you accuse without proof, you become the problem. But if you gather proof, you protect yourself and everyone else. Mama Nkechi nodded. "Naso." Zainab whispered, "How do we gather proof?" Ayo's eyes hardened slightly. "By watching patterns, access times. Who stays late? Who panics when questions are asked?" He paused. "And by keeping your dignity. Wicked people want you emotional. That's how they trap you." Zainab inhaled slowly, absorbing the truth. Somewhere upstairs, a door slammed. Footsteps echoed. Tomiwa's voice floated down the stairwell, laughing too loudly, talking too fast. Ayo's gaze lifted. The trap was tightening. And for the first time, Zainab understood something that changed her forever. Her story would not be rewritten by pity, but by proof. The next morning, the bank woke up to a storm it couldn't see yet. Word had spread overnight. Customers posted videos, voice notes flew around, and people whispered the same sentence in different ways. Money is disappearing inside that bank. By 9 a.m., the lobby was full again. Faces tense, voices loud. Pensioners clutching files like shields. Mr. Femi arrived early, sleeves rolled slightly, jaw set. He didn't look like a man coming to work. He looked like a man coming to war. Tomiwa stood behind the counter, smiling too hard, speaking too sweetly, the way people act when their heart is shaking. "Sir," she told Mr. Femi with false respect, "we are managing the crowd." Mr. Femi's eyes swept over the lines, the angry faces, the phones recording. "This is not managing, Tomiwa," he said quietly. "This is damage." Tomiwa's smile twitched. "It's not our fault customers don't understand processes." Mr. Femi leaned closer. "And it's not your job to insult them." Tomiwa's eyes flashed, but she forced her smile back. And that was exactly how Ayo knew she was afraid. In the basement, Ayo, still Kunle, stood with Mama and Keiichi near the CCTV monitor room. He had access now because Sei had quietly arranged it the night before under the name of maintenance upgrades. The monitor screens glowed in the dim room. Ayo pointed at one angle showing the teller section. "Watch her," he murmured. Mama and Keiichi folded her arms. "That girl is wicked." Zainab stood near the doorway, heart pounding. She didn't want trouble, but she also didn't want to keep begging life for mercy. Ayo spoke like a teacher. "Today, you will learn something that will save you in life. Truth does not need noise. It needs timing." Zainab swallowed. Upstairs, the elderly man from yesterday returned, this time with 2 other pensioners. They marched straight to the counter. "My money!" the old man shouted. "Bring it!" Tomiwa's hands moved quickly over the keyboard. She was trying to look busy, professional, like someone innocent. But Ayo's eyes followed her fingers. Zainab watched too, remembering the file names she saw. Then, one small detail. Tomiwa glanced over her shoulder, not toward the customers, toward the corridor leading to a staff-only office. A signal. Ayo's jaw tightened. She's not alone. Seconds later, a man in a suit stepped out of the corridor, a supervisor from compliance, and walked toward Tomiwa's station with purposeful calm, like a man used to cleaning up mess. Zainab's stomach turned. So the rot was higher than tellers. Ayo's phone buzzed. A message from Sei. "Board members arriving. I'm coming in." Ayo stared at the screen. It was time. He turned to Zainab. "When I leave this room, keep working like nothing is happening." Zainab's eyes widened. "Where are you going?" Ayo met her gaze. For a second, the mask almost slipped. "To end this." At 11:20 a.m., the bank's glass doors opened and a small group entered, men and women in sharp suits, escorted by security. At the center was Sei, carrying a slim laptop bag. He didn't greet tellers. He didn't smile. He walked straight to the management wing. Mr. Femi saw him and stiffened. "Barrister Sei?" Sei nodded briskly. "Boardroom, now." Tomiwa's face drained slightly. Boardroom meant one thing: the owner's world. Inside the boardroom, the air was cold. Mr. Femi sat at one end, tense but composed. Tomiwa sat near the middle, still wearing confidence like makeup, though her fingers trembled slightly on the table. The compliance supervisor sat beside her, calm, too calm. Sei connected his laptop to the screen. "I'll be brief," he said. "There have been multiple complaints of pension funds disappearing through internal transfers. We ran an audit and reviewed access logs." Tomiwa scoffed softly. "This is unnecessary drama." Sei's eyes flicked to her. "Drama is emotion. Evidence is fact." He clicked. On the screen appeared timestamps, access IDs, internal transfer references. Zainab wasn't in the room, but the story of her dignity was about to shake the building. Sei continued. "The same access credential was used repeatedly at odd hours. The credential belongs to..." He clicked again. A name appeared. Tomiwa's eyes widened. The compliance supervisor's jaw tightened. Mr. Femi leaned forward, stunned. Sei's voice remained calm. "Because truth does not shake. People do. The system shows that the pension batch reversals were initiated from teller access points, but approved through compliance override. Tomiwa stood abruptly. This is a lie. Anyone can use my system. Cleaners pass here every day. Sei's expression didn't change. CCTV says otherwise. He clicked. A video clip played. Tomiwa at her counter, late after closing, hands on the keyboard. The compliance supervisor walking in, handing her a flash drive. Tomiwa plugging it in. Both of them looking around, then continuing. The room went silent. So silent you could hear fear breathing. Mr. Femi's voice came out low. My God. Tomiwa's lips parted. Her throat worked, but no sound came. Sei closed the laptop gently. Then he said the sentence that shattered the last piece of false confidence. The owner is not abroad. The door behind them opened. A man entered. Not in a suit. In a cleaner's uniform. Ayo Kingsley Duru removed his cap slowly, like a crown returning to a head. I've been here, he said quietly, eyes locked on Tomiwa. The whole time. Tomiwa collapsed back into her chair, as if the air had left her body. Ayo's voice stayed calm, but it carried weight like law. I watched how you treated customers. He turned slightly. I watched how you treated cleaners. He looked at Mr. Femi. And I watched who had courage. Then his gaze returned to Tomiwa and the supervisor, ice in his eyes. Now, Ayo said softly, we will handle what you've done, properly. Security stepped in, and for the first time, the boardroom did what it was built to do. It judged. Tomiwa's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. No, this is not, she stammered, eyes wild. Sir, I can explain. Ayo didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Explain to the police, he said quietly. The compliance supervisor tried to stand, but security blocked him. His confidence finally cracked. Sir, it was business, he argued. Those pensioners won't even notice. Ayo's eyes flashed. That sentence is why you deserve no mercy. Mr. Femi sat frozen, still processing what he had seen. Then he rose slowly. Sir, he said to Ayo, voice heavy. I didn't know, but I suspected something was wrong. Ayo nodded once. And you still chose to save a child. That matters. Tomiwa started crying, loud now, dramatic, begging. Please, I made a mistake. Don't destroy my life. Ayo's tone remained calm. You destroyed lives first. Sei stepped forward with the same controlled precision. All evidence has been backed up, he said. Police have been notified. Customer funds will be reversed immediately. We'll issue a public apology and set up a restitution desk for all pensioners. Ayo turned to the board members. Effective today, we implement double authorization on pension batches, tighter access control, and mandatory customer dignity training. Any staff caught humiliating customers or junior staff will face disciplinary review. One board member frowned. Dignity training? Ayo's eyes hardened. Yes, because a bank that protects money but crushes people is not a bank. It's a thief in a suit. No one argued after that. Downstairs, the lobby was still full of angry customers. Mr. Femi walked out with security and raised his hands. Everyone, please listen. The crowd quieted slightly. Ayo followed behind, still in uniform, until he stopped in the center where everyone could see him clearly. Then he removed the cap. A wave moved through the crowd like electricity. Some people gasped, some whispered, some stared. Mr. Femi's voice rang out. This is Mr. Ayo Kingsley Duru, the owner of the bank. The lobby went silent. Ayo spoke, not like a billionaire, but like a man who finally understood what power was for. I am sorry, he said. Not the kind of sorry that is spoken to end a problem, the kind that comes with action. He held up a document. All missing pension funds will be restored. Any customer affected will receive a clear statement and a direct contact line. Anyone who stole from you will face the law. The elderly man from before stepped forward, eyes wet. So, my money will come back? Ayo nodded. Yes, sir. And you will get an apology from this bank. Not tomorrow. Today. The crowd murmured, anger melting into disbelief, then relief. Phones kept recording, but now the videos were turning into evidence of justice. Later that afternoon, when the bank finally calmed, Zainab stood in the cleaner's storeroom, holding her mop like it was suddenly too heavy. Mama and Kichi burst in, eyes wide. Zainab, you heard? Kunle is. Zainab's voice was small. The owner. Mama and Kichi laughed once, sharp and amazed. This life. Zainab didn't laugh. Her heart was confused. She remembered telling Kunle that uniforms don't define people. Now she realized he had been living inside that truth all along. A gentle knock came on the storeroom door. Ayo entered, this time without the cap, but still in the uniform. His face looked different when the disguise was no longer hiding anything. Zainab, he said softly. Zainab lowered her eyes instinctively. Sir. Ayo shook his head. Don't sir me like that. Not after everything. Zainab swallowed. I didn't know. I know, Ayo said. That's why your kindness was real. He paused, then said the words that carried education inside them. Many people respect money. Few people respect humanity. You respected humanity first. Zainab's eyes filled with emotion. My child almost died. If Mr. Femi didn't help me. Ayo's voice tightened. That's why I can't ignore what happened. From today, your role changes. Zainab's breath caught. Sir? Ayo turned slightly and opened a folder Sei had handed him earlier. Effective immediately. Zainab Oho is moved from cleaning unit to accounts trainee. Fast track. Full salary. Full benefits. Zainab stared like she hadn't heard correctly. Me? Ayo nodded. You earned it. Not by begging, by character. Zainab's hands trembled. Thank you. I don't even know what to say. Ayo's gaze softened. Say you won't stop believing in yourself. Zainab looked up then, really looked at him. You know, she said quietly, I told you once that good people suffer when wicked people are comfortable. Ayo nodded. And you taught me something, too. Zainab blinked. What? Ayo's voice dropped, honest. That love and respect still exist. But they don't wear expensive clothes. They show up with food in a foil pack. Zainab's lips trembled into a small smile through tears. Mama Nkechi cleared her throat loudly from behind, pretending she wasn't listening. Ahem. If you two want to talk, leave my storeroom. Some of us still have work. They all laughed softly, even Ayo. And in that laughter, something healed. Not everything, but something. That day, the bank became more than a building with shiny floors. It became proof that kindness is not weakness. Evidence is stronger than noise. Power is not for oppression. It is for protection. A uniform hides a job, not a destiny. And Zainab, once mocked for carrying a mop, walked out of that storeroom with something no one could take from her again. Dignity and a future.